Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're talking about episode 11 of A Condition Called Love. This was definitely a fun and interesting episode, and Hananoi and Hotaru definitely made some major progress here, especially considering that we actually saw them share their first kiss. But the thing I think I want to talk about most about this episode in general is the idea that there was an overarching theme of opening up, and the idea that that could be a physical thing, that could be an emotional thing, but most importantly it has to be a consensual thing, because we see some very positive acts of opening up between the couple in the show, but we also see an incredibly negative aspect of someone trying to force someone to open up through what Yao-kun tries to do to Hananoi during this episode, and that really pissed me off. I mean, it's like every time this guy opens his mouth, I just want to tell him to close it, because every time he opens his mouth, he does something that just makes me mad. Here's the thing. If Hananoi has something in his past that relates to Hotaru, and if it somehow is going to seriously impact her, then he should definitely consider telling her about it. But that should only be when and if he is actually ready to share it with her, and when he's thought about whether or not it would be correct to actually share it with her. Because just because you have some kind of past thing going on doesn't always necessarily mean that you should share that thing with someone. Sometimes that is the appropriate choice, and sometimes it's not. And the idea of this third wheel coming out of nowhere, butting in absolutely where he is not wanted nor welcome, and then trying to blackmail Hananoi into actually telling Hotaru this stuff using a game of ping pong was absolutely disgusting. I was super glad to see that Hananoi beat him, because that was just what the hell, and that guy has no business being around these two. That guy is actually manipulative and disgusting and dirty, and I did not like him in the slightest, and the way that he is trying to just instigate trouble, which we all know from looking at last episode that he's doing because he wants Hotaru for himself, is absolutely lame ass, and he just needs to, get out. But let's talk about the more positive aspects of opening up, and we'll start with the thing I'm sure everybody here wants to talk about, which is the kiss. And I really love how they set this up, because it wasn't some situation where somebody just randomly grabs somebody and kisses them or anything. It really worked at exploring the more tentative and cautious and uncertain aspects of Hotaru and her experiences with dating and everything, versus Hananoi, who knows a lot more of what he's doing. And I really appreciated the fact that he was willing to trust her and to let her kind of explore the situation at her own pace, and that it never actually got to a point where it was going to be a kiss until she actually made it clear to him that she wanted him to kiss her. I think that the way that he respects her in that way is super important to acknowledge, because this show likes to throw a lot of red flags at us about Hananoi because it needs to do something to keep itself interesting. And in this situation, this is somewhere that you really wouldn't want that to show up. Misunderstandings, past aspects, hints and implications of behavior and stuff like that, that's fine. But if he was being grabby and gropey and gross, nobody would like him. And fortunately, that is not what we got. Now, when we got to the actual kiss itself, it was definitely a passionate kiss. It was beautiful. I love how they used all the lighting and the colors for this whole section. How they showed the emotional connection and almost the aura or energy of the two characters getting closer together, both physically and mentally and emotionally, through reflecting lights all around them. I thought that was a really cool touch. If we talk about the idea of opening up on a more emotional and personal level, though, we really have to give mad props to Hananoi for the way that his character has developed and evolved over the series, but especially the progress we actually see him make in this episode, because it's absolutely exquisite. We see him actually hanging out with Yao-kun and the blonde-haired worker from the bookstore, and of course Hotaru, and they're all hanging out. They go bowling, the girls go and play a game, the two guys have the ping pong match from hell. But I mean, he's actually trying, and it's not just there either. We also see him interacting with Hotaru's friends, and we actually get an acknowledgement from Hotaru as she's thinking about things, that she doesn't think he actually hates Kego as much as he thinks he does. She actually thinks that there is progress in potentially having something a bit more friendly between the two going on, and I think that's really cool. We also get a much clearer indication of why Hananoi is so guarded and so cautious about making friends, and that is because the one friend he ever had that he was really close to is someone who is much older than him. I have previously said that I think that it was likely his grandpa. I still don't know whether that's the case or not, but I'm pretty sure, regardless of anything, that the person in question is that elderly man whom we think that he probably inherited the earrings from. And the idea that the guy left, whether that means that he went somewhere else or whether Hananoi is trying to spare himself from having to swallow a lump in his throat and say that the man died. Either way, for a kid, especially a kid who's being abandoned by everyone, I can only imagine how hard that would be. You think about the kind of life that Hananoi has been living and what's been being done to him and everything, and then suddenly the one person he openly trusts and cares about and whatever just up and leaves, whether that was a literal up and leave or whether that was a tragic death. Either way, that is definitely going to leave some scars, and it's understandable that he has struggled with that because that would not be easy, and that would be doubly not easy given his circumstances. The other thing that I really like about this whole aspect of him opening up is that he's finally starting to slowly have the courage to tell Hotaru things. And what I really like about this as well is that where he is the one who gives her space and patience and time and the ability to slowly explore things and to figure out how she feels, she does this for him in return emotionally. And that is so important and so beautiful. The last thing I want to touch on, because I super liked it, it doesn't totally tie in with the theme, but I just loved it as a scene, was where she tripped over that pop can and went flying and he took care of her legs. I am a sucker for anything where two people who like each other have a situation like that where one person is taking care of the other. We saw her taking care of him when he was sick earlier in the season, so it was really nice to see him actually reciprocating that and having a chance to be the one to take care of her in some kind of at least mini crisis situation. I mean, I don't want to see people getting sick and getting scraped up every other day or anything, but having that kind of symbolism inside of a romance story, I think it's often considered like the comfort trope or something, is actually something that I quite like. So it was really cute seeing him take care of her. And it's interesting because I wondered how he would be able to handle that. Because I mean, on one hand, anyone should know at least a basic level of first aid. On another hand, his parents are doctors, so I wondered whether he would be better at that. Maybe he had some basic training, but then they haven't been around. So the other thing I had been concerned about was whether or not he would be terrible at that, because maybe he would try to avoid anything to do with any kind of medical stuff because of the trauma he has endured from them. Fortunately, he just seemed like a normal guy taking care of it, putting stuff on, cleaning her legs, and then putting the band-aids on it or whatever, and I just thought it was overall super cute. Anyway, I super liked this episode. I thought it was really fun. I think we made some amazing progress, and I think it's really sweet to see these two truly coming into their own as a couple. I really enjoy seeing them together. They are definitely one of my favorite couples of the season. They are absolutely precious. But those are just my thoughts. What did you guys think? Was there anything here that stood out to you? I'd love to know, so let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye!